Good morning. Really glad to be here this morning, joined by the wonderful Tori. My name is Nathan. I'm one of the Cisco solution specialists. And Tori, do you want to quickly cover what you do?
Thanks, Nathan. I'm Tori, or formal title Victoria. I head up the product and licensing team at Cisilion and supporting Nathan with this webinar to talk to you today about what Cisilion can offer.
Perfect. So what we are going to cover today is looking at the public sector in particular and what we do to help our customers with cost optimization. I think the first thing that we should cover is, why is this important? Why are we in particular focusing on the public sector here and cost optimization, when in reality, obviously, all industries need to focus on obviously efficiency with their IT spend. Starting with yourself, Tori, from your perspective on cost optimization and public sector, why do you believe this is such an important subject?
I think there's a bit of a giveaway in the title in terms of optimization and managing costs, ensuring that customers are achieving cost efficiencies across the Microsoft landscape, improving return on investment, putting money back in budgets where applicable. And, we all know the budgets are tighter than they've ever been before because of current economic climate. So supporting those kind of conversations and having strategic procurement strategy reviews with customers is paramount to ensuring that they are getting that kind of best value that they can and operating as efficiently as possible.
I completely agree. I think certainly from my view as well, there's been challenges over the last couple of years across all industries in terms of rising costs, whether that be from an energy perspective or unexpected costs due to changes in government policies. What is still important to all organisations, and even more in public sector, considering the services they provide to ultimately the public, is ensuring that they have the right functionality in place to continue with their day-to-day business, whether that be in healthcare or local government, while also ensuring that they make the maximum use of that budget available and ultimately, as you alluded to, enable that budget to be used elsewhere than not necessarily sometimes IT area, which sometimes is seen and deemed as almost a cost to a business, opposed to obviously returning that investment back. I think just quickly for the audience's sake, for those that don't know who we are though, we are Cisilion. We have been in the IT industry now for over 20 years, with two main partners that we focus on, which is Cisco and Microsoft. The way we approach this with all our customers is ultimately we want to build a long-lasting trust and partnership with you so that you can view us as part of your extended IT teams. And there's three key ways we do that. We first try to build up that trust by ensuring you understand what we can do. We tell you exactly where we can help. And in some instances, if it's not our speciality, we'll make you aware of that so that you have the right information. So we're very upfront and we build that trust along that journey. And in particular in public sector, we've done that with multiple NHS trusts and local governments where we've established a trust to ensure that they've got the maximum out of their IT investments. We do the same from a perspective of agility. We are the right-sized organisation that enables us to react quickly and ensure that we meet the demands of you and your teams, so ultimately you get the best service possible. And then finally, excellence. We look to always go beyond expectations with our customers. And one way we do that is absolutely around these cost optimization services. We're not looking to make you pay more than you need to. What we really want to do is actually ensure you get the absolute maximum from your IT investments, reduce the amount you need to spend from an IT perspective. So that's kind of who we are. I think what we'll kind of cover now is give you a flavour of how we do this for our customers. What does cost optimization truly mean? And then how we can then take you on that journey, regardless of if you're looking at new IT investments or you're just trying to ensure your current spend is as efficient as possible. I think starting with yourself, Tori, how do you approach this for your public sector customers with you and your team at the moment?
I think it first of all, it's understanding what the perception of optimization means. And optimization comes in various shapes and forms. immediately people think about specifically products and how can you effectively buy less and do more, which is, quite a big strapline campaign that we've been running, which is Microsoft and Cisco together. But you've got your, obviously, procurement, licensing based optimizations, persona mapping, making sure that you're getting a return on investment for products. If you're consuming E5, are you looking to displace other security vendors to ensure you get a return on investment? Teams. Obviously, there are alternative technologies in the market, so looking to perhaps displace those technologies and again utilize Teams, expand features that exist within Teams with the addition of AI. It didn't take long for that word to come up. It was always going to be part of the agenda. And then what about technical optimization? Consumption of devices, moving away from traditional procurement vehicles where you buy your assets, you own your assets, to things like devices as a service, optimizing budgets, costs, moving to Azure, perhaps, consuming public or private cloud services, ensuring that you're doing that in the most cost-effective way, which is, I guess, the kind of traditional words that you'd associate with optimization in the Microsoft landscape. For me, it's good hygiene as well. Azure's come a long way in the last few years. We hear people talking about hub and spoke, landing zones, well architecture framework reviews, terminology that wasn't around 5 years ago for early adopters of cloud that have got legacy subscriptions. So making sure that they're governed, they're kept clean, there's no zombied, orphaned resources is another part of what we would do from an optimization perspective, as well as looking at things like Windows, high reduced benefit. So quite a big spectrum that I just covered. And obviously optimization in lots of different areas, obviously totally Microsoft focused. No doubt you've got some similar stories to talk about from a Cisco perspective.
Yeah, I think from infrastructure and a network security perspective, it's very similar. There's a range of mechanisms that we do with our customers to ensure they get the best. That does start with things like simple vendor consolidation. Is there efficiencies where if you have one solution that you're going to get the maximum outcome from that? Similar from a kind of a procurement mechanism, how you procure your licenses and that estate. There's other models and traditional a la carte, as it's referred to.
Strategic ways to buy. And not just what you're buying, how you're buying it.
Absolutely. Also, how we make sure you get the maximum utilization out of it. You spoke around Microsoft E5 licensing and security vendors, very much in the same way from a Cisco perspective, and ultimately what we do with all our customers is making sure we understand the outcomes you're trying to drive and then ensure you have efficiencies there. We don't want you buying two parallel products that do the identical solution. We want to ensure that you choose the right one that works with the strategic roadmap you're doing from a technology estate, so that you're not buying the same solution twice. So finding those efficiencies, again, is something that we pride ourselves on, and we take that consultative approach with you. We're not looking to tell you that you should buy everything Cisco or you should buy everything Microsoft. In fact, it's finding that strategic balance, which can only come by understanding both ends of those solutions. And then I think you spoke about two other key things from almost a professional services perspective, but ensuring that you get the maximum return on investment from the solutions you buy. Not just using a couple of percent to achieve one function, but ensuring you understand all the use cases a certain product can drive, and then providing you that. And then likewise, even from a managed service perspective, IT teams that typically sit in public sector now are quite lean. You have a lot of demands placed on you. It's not just keeping the lights on. You're expected to work on those transformation journeys as things change. Take COVID, for example, a few years back. Most IT teams were focused on keeping those lights on. And then overnight, it went on to how can I transform my business to be able to work with this increased demand in public sector?
I think that's
anywhere.
A really, really valid point. I've been working in the licensing arena for quite a while, 15 plus years, and lots of my activities were focused very much originally around the volume licensing service centre.
Yep.
And now I can, easily say I access at least 5 to 6 different admin consoles on a daily basis. And there are a lot more than that. Admin consoles, portals, I love them. They're great. Who doesn't love data and information? But you're right, skilling yourself up, skilling teams up to be experts, not just in installing, managing and supporting the user base, but actually getting to know these new dashboards, interfaces, understanding which one is used for what is a job in itself sometimes. Upskilling as well, making sure that alongside your strategic roadmap from a technology perspective, where do your humans fit inside that? Yeah. Making sure that they come with you as an organisation on that journey, helping them to understand when you do adopt new technologies, ensuring that they're comfortable with utilising technologies, and super prevalent in the team space if they're using alternative tech. You want to roll that out. You need to ensure that they are ready when you start to deliver that rollout and can benefit from the technology that's being provided to them.
Absolutely. And these are all elements of fairness that we regularly do, not just for private sector customers and businesses, but very much so in the public sector space as well. I think with that in mind, what we should kind of cover now is maybe dwelling on some of those elements that we spoke about. Maybe we should cover kind of what the key ways you can do that with the product efficiency side.
Yeah.
With that in mind, Tori, could you go over kind of how you do that from a product efficiency perspective from Microsoft Play there?
Sure. So really it's getting involved, having conversations. As I said, data's great. Being truly honest, data is old because it's information that's been gathered based on historical information. So you can't really make decisions about future investments only taking what's happened in the past into consideration. And that's where I think consultancy, which is at the key of everything that we do at Cisilion, has to go hand in hand with access to, leading tools and dashboards that are available. I like Microsoft Native as well as a number of strategic vendors that are complementary, but having those dashboards and access to those in their own, for me, it's not enough. That's kind of like a DIY service. Self-serviceability, you never want to stop people from being able to dig in, have a little look, but actually having an expert in that field that, I agree should be an extension of a team. To provide insights on strategic ways to buy, look at current volumes of spend, look at ways that you can consolidate, commit different resources over a period of time. I liken it to something as simple as airport parking. Yeah. If I'm going away for a couple of weeks, I don't park in short term because it costs a lot more. Balancing that with the number of reservations, so long-term parking in Azure that's available, taking exchanges, cancellation maximums into consideration, and actually keeping that moving. Once you've optimized, does that mean no change is going to happen again? Definitely not. So looking at utilization of commitments, are you seeing the saving that you should? Does that need to be reharvested? And again, the different types of reservations, because people think reservation, it's a virtual machine, but you've got kind of SQL managed instance, databases, you've got storage-based instances, and new savings plans, which stretch across things like application services as well, and different app plans have different eligibility. So determining what you're going to consume as well, for customers that are not perhaps already in the cloud, and looking at optimizing an existing environment, but true cost of cloud once you've done a migration. Because I think, assessments are great, but it will give you a view of what is the equivalent size virtual machine. You don't always want the equivalent size. In fact, you probably don't, because we're not building for scale and growth in Azure. It comes with scalability out of the box. So running as operationally efficient while giving users the experience they need is a balancing act. Yeah. But at the same time, Once you've done that and you can look at commits of resources or saving plans for commute, you can pretty much start to deliver optimization at inception, and allow customers to benefit from those lower price points. And those savings are pretty significant across virtual machines, SQL, storage, app services, as I've said, as well as things like hybrid use benefit, where you can see customers' cost reduced by about 30% on an annual basis.
I think that's quite significant. You know, you're talking a 30% saving.
Yeah.
Where it also empowers our team to do is then reutilize that spend on the transformational elements they want to do. You know, this is more than just, well, we've got to have this service available now. It's actually, I've reduced the cost of that service. Now I can do the next level.
You can even go into like cost ownership, for example. So Microsoft ACM, so Azure Cost Management, comes with tag and label services. Some of those are native, and that's things like cost by service, a total view of all subscriptions if you've got multiple, allocation of cost by perhaps a billing entity, might be application-based costs. These are things that organisations, and like you said, regardless of whether it be public sector or corporate customers that are looking at cost management type services, there'll be different wants and needs. It might not be to allocate costs to a particular department at that moment in time. But if questions are asked about costs of services without obtaining those records, having that level of information available and accessible to you, it would be impossible to identify what specific running costs are related to which parts of any organisation, regardless of type. So that is something that we are quite proud of. We offer a variety of different types of like cost management reports, whether it be just the service name, but things like month-on-month view. When you get your report, the first thing I want to know is, have my costs changed? If they have, why? So kind of calling out those high-level items is super important. It's valuable. We also have a second week of the month where we catch up with our customers, obviously that consultative approach, and actually go through their reports. If there are low-level admin changes that need to be made, then the team can go away and do that. So not only is it about delivering, efficiencies and cost optimization against budgets, there's also an element of human optimization, because we're taking on those activities, not suggesting more jobs for already stretched IT teams to go out and do.
Absolutely. I think that's really, really clear, to be honest. I think they're very much from the same vein of light from a Cisco or network infrastructure perspective. It is certainly a case where when we have customers that have that infrastructure that's so critical to their organisation, whether you're healthcare or local gov, ultimately none of your staff can work without that infrastructure in some form. And ultimately it's ensuring also that it provides the most value for you. It's easy to use, it's secure. The users can come in and they can just work. They don't have to worry about, oh no, how do I connect today? Or something's not working there. So it's certainly a two-pronged approach there. That part of it being how you procure the licensing and what that network infrastructure can do beyond just connectivity. So things like looking at how it can drive energy efficiencies within your buildings there, so then you can reduce cost elsewhere within the capital spend that you have. And another element of that is also how you end up procuring it, right? In reality, a lot of infrastructure now is more SaaS-based or software subscriptions. And the reason why is because unlike traditional architectures that we used to have many years ago, which was you buy something and what you buy on that day is kind of what it does. It doesn't typically have many other improvements beyond bug fixes, etc. Now it's the case, even from an infrastructure perspective, you buy something and it continually evolves. New releases update that add new features and functionality that wasn't there from day one. Hence why things are more that kind of subscription-based model than previously. And in turn, because they are subscription-based models, obviously you need to account for that kind of spend for the licensing beyond just that initial hardware.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Evergreen. Yeah.
With that in mind, from your side, you were covering kind of the Azure cost management service. I'll delve into, from a Cisco perspective in just a moment, how we do that license optimization. Before I kind of jump into that, is there anything you kind of want to cover around the service that you provide? I know you were just talking over it, but is there anything in particular that's worth calling out for our public sector customers?
Definitely. I think some preconceived ideas around the way in which you can procure. Obviously, enterprise agreement still has a big place in market. Microsoft are introducing different types of discount schemes over the last few years, and ramp is one of their most popular, which in essence is a higher level discount in the first year of your agreement, and that discount reduces in years 2 and 3, and that's obviously put in place to allow customers to go through transition, specifically in relation to security. But then obviously from an Azure perspective, different ways to purchase. Again, are you direct with Microsoft? If you are, then you'll undoubtedly have additional costs outside of consumption that wouldn't be applicable if you were to look at buying through partner for a CSP subscription, as an example, because support's delivered by the partner themselves. So no unified advanced support costs in addition to consumption, commercial benefits through buying through channel as well. Obviously, Microsoft are not the transacting partner when you look to work with CSP, which means that rebates and value adds can be included, such as the reporting services, optimization services. Lots of organisations take an approach of sell you a service. From a Cisilion perspective, we're very much focused on savings. And the reason that that's important, because I feel that it aligns our goals as an organisation with the goals of our customers. And consumption-based services, from my perspective, don't necessarily do that, because you're providing a cost based on a volume of spend. And, if you want to achieve growth, that's great, but if you're actually looking at reducing that spend, then it's not going to be as compelling as it is for organizations. So for me, having the same kind of goals as customers, the regular touch points, the human element, having someone to talk to, so alignment. At Cisilion, you generally have your account management day-to-day team, but from a pre-sales consultancy perspective, you straight away will get access to a licensing and product specialist, a technical specialist across modern desktop and Azure. So having access to, Team Cisilion, the wider team, again, people like yourself, Nathan, to join into those conversations where we're not talking about Cisco or Microsoft, we're talking about how does that work together, and channel updates. What's changing? Yep. I mean, lots of changes. You mentioned that already. Who knows what we'll be talking about in 12 months' time? Probably still Copilot, which I haven't really got in there twice now. But yeah, no doubt I will talk a little bit more about that at the end of the session today. But for me, it's just to highlight that for us, it's about partnership. It's an old-fashioned notion now, but being that trusted advisor.
No, absolutely. And you spoke about the reporting services you provide, and obviously you do this on a number of metrics. Do you want to quickly cover what they can expect to see if they do go ahead with kind of an optimization route with yourselves?
Yep. So dashboards, Power BI reports, as well as Excel. Excel's friendly. I don't know any IT team that don't like to consume Excel information that they can utilise and present back at their own. That's super important. Power BI dashboards are great. Generally, most of us that want to manipulate that information, dig a bit deeper, will start to export the information, take out what's relevant to us. So providing reports in all of those different vehicles allows us to tick a few boxes across different stakeholders within an organisation. Everyone loves the Power BI. They're pretty. You've got some great visuals, but Excel, changing information, adding in perhaps your own costs, the ability to white label. We are there to deliver commercial benefits for our customers, but our customers need to present this information back to their business. And they might not want to have their provider's logo all over it on every single occasion.
Yeah. I think that's so important you call out that, actually, because again, goes back to that kind of trust element and that partnership as you
Yeah.
alluded to, because what we're looking to do with all our customers, public sector in particular as well, is ensure you feel like you are having us as part of your team. You know, we're not trying to shove our logo and our face everywhere.
Yeah.
In fact, no, we understand you need to go back to your bosses and stakeholders and actually be able to present the work we've done in collaboration with you as your own. Obviously helps you and your team in terms of the justification of the way you're approaching your IT spends and what you want to do from a transformational perspective. So again, it's that partnership that we really do value.
And not just information for the sake of information, like valuable information. Also, at a moment in time to look at that information. We're publishing our reports in the first week of the month, and our consultant touch points monthly spotlights with our contacts are on the second week of the month. I'm going to say 85% of the time, it's the first moment in time that those people have had to actually sit down and look at consumption.
Yeah.
So I think that also serves a good value back, because it's a task that needs to be done, and allocating that time for us and our partners to actually discuss strategy, spend, and address anything before you get your bill at the end of the next month.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think just covering from kind of Cisco and infrastructure perspective, quickly following on from the way you're approaching that, is Cisco fundamentally have, similar to my called enterprise agreement. I'm sure they've both taken a leaf out of each other's books in honesty there.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, they are agreement that kind of covers your licensing estate. You know, those subscriptions and the software elements that empowers those switches and network infrastructure that you procure. Now, typically, most customers will have a project and then just buy a bunch of licenses. And then maybe a year later in healthcare or local gov, they end up with a new area of the office they need to refurb, or a new ward they need to update. And then in turn, they buy a bit more wireless or a bit more security, a bit more network. The reality is when customers have that approach, they just do not get the best value from it. You know, ultimately, this is a different procurement mechanism than just buying it off one-offs. Now, this is a case where we wrap the products that you need into effectively agreement for multi-year term, typically 3 years, sometimes more if desired. And the reason you do that is you get a peripheral of benefits that you just do not see if you just buy it on one-offs. Now, those benefits I've kind of listed in a high-level table there, and obviously I'll be more than happy to spend time with any one of you to cover that in more detail. But fundamentally, you get some key elements that you just do not see if you buy it one-off. And for me, it's a case of that I want customers to be maximizing on the value of their spend. So to do that, they take enterprise agreement for the product suites they're using, sometimes multiple product suites. You know, you might have customers that are using Cisco calling solutions, or perhaps they're on Teams, and that's fine as well. But if they're in a calling perspective from Cisco, so WebEx, and then you have a Cisco network, you start seeing multiple discounts across both product suites within that agreement. So fundamentally, you get better pricing than you would typically. Likewise, once you take out these agreements, you get fixed pricing fundamentally. So you know across that period of term that your costs are the same for the licensing subscription throughout. And then the two in particular I really personally love and look to work with my customers on to make sure they get the maximum benefit of this is something called a true forward. Now, keeping this very simple in terms of approaches, if you have a customer that has 5 access points, just for simple numbers, for my simple mind there, and they have those 5 on today, but this time next year they have 6, then naturally they need to procure 1 extra, and they'll see a small cost uplift at the end of that 1 year. What doesn't happen though is we don't look back. We don't say, oh, you've had 1 more this year. Can you pay for the last 12 months of that additional product?
That would be nice.
I mean, in reality, they are very generous with that though, right? They say, no worries. Hope you enjoyed the product. Now can you pay for that 1 extra going forward? And you can see the power of that, right? Especially in public sector, in healthcare in particular, where there might be technology changes.
Well, predictability, budgets.
Absolutely, yeah. And then all of a sudden, you can confidently grow your estate and size it appropriately from day one, but enable that growth. But on the flip side, let's say you're not seeing the growth, right? You just want it to fix in. You're still getting the benefits. You don't have to grow it. And likewise, if there's a scenario where you actually have a bit of shrinkage, they have concepts which are value shifts. So if you start reducing your switches, but you're increasing your wireless, something I commonly see now, they have mechanisms that enable you to move the value of the switching products over to the wireless. So you're not losing
reservation exchange in my world.
Yeah. Absolutely. So both sides there from Cisco and Microsoft, they're very carefully building these out. And what I work to do with my team and our customers is to ensure you get the maximum value. You know, again, I get quite passionate about this with my customers, but I don't want to see people spending more than they need to achieve the outcome they want. So we work very sensibly to size these appropriately to ensure the best commercial offering. But then also once you've taken that, we don't sit back and say, brilliant, speak to you in 3 years' time, let us know when you need to renew. No, we have very much same as you, regular touch points. We examine how you're utilising that, and we build up roadmaps as well to ensure you get the maximum value of it over that period of time. So that if you have upcoming projects you may be aware of, or even if you're not, we help you understand what's happening from a technology estate, what we're seeing in other organisations, and how to drive all that value. And as we know, and we've mentioned AI a couple of times, but technology is fast moving. You know, what you might need today might be very different in 3 years' time. So we keep you continuously updated on the latest trends, the changes from infrastructure and security perspective to empower you and your team to, again, get the maximum investment on any technology suite you look to procure. I think that kind of covers quite nicely how we approach this.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't put you too much on the spot here, but certainly not asking for who you've done this with. But I think just to confirm, you know, this is something we actively are doing from your perspective with our customers, right?
100%. We've got some great case study customers. Referenceability is super important. I'm obviously Team Cisilion, so I can tell you how great our services are, what our go-to-market is, what our core values are, and our approach. But nothing better than having some insight from the people, like you said, the partnerships that exist within public sector, the return that they're seeing on our investment relationship, which is commercial savings, some of which over a 3-year term have been upwards of £300,000 annually, and that's over 3 years, that's £100,000 annually, and that's without any architectural change at all.
Wow.
That was simply looking at the way in which services for Azure were being consumed and purchased. So a bit of hygiene, some reservations, some Windows have reduced benefit there. So it's crazy to think that for me was overspend or wastage for a larger period of time. But you know, I'm very much a glass half full, so no point in looking backwards. Let's fix it. Let's look at operational efficiencies, and let's continue to do that. And the end result of that is the want and need to move future services to Azure, because there's a confidence in cloud now that just didn't exist before. There are a handful of those case studies and references that are available. Not everybody wants to participate, it'd be great. So, you know, the volume of customers isn't represented by these few, but, you know, yes, I encourage anybody that's participating today to do case studies. If you're getting a good service and you're happy with that, it's super important to participate, to spread the word across your various industries, to let you know when you think someone is doing a good job.
Well, I appreciate that, Tori. I think from my perspective, you know, all I would welcome is the time with yourselves, understanding how I can help you ultimately get the best value and best utilization out of all of your IT there from both sides, right? We have a wide range of teams at Team Cisilion. Over 80% of the business are all technical nature. So all of us work together to really drive that efficiency. What I can certainly say around public sector, again, is this is something we're actively doing and continually to do for yourselves and your colleagues in the industry. We have positioned ourselves on the appropriate frameworks, and we can ensure we can make this as simple as possible to ensure that you can see the value from this. What I would welcome is just time with yourselves. You know, please feel free to reach out. We can bring you into our lovely offices in London, in our CEC, demonstrate some of the technology available, demonstrate some of the savings we've achieved for other customers, or if you prefer, we can absolutely do it remotely as well. But what we want is ultimately to get the time with you to empower you and your teams to truly save some money there and also get the best from your IT spend. So with that in mind, I think we'll wrap up here today, but please feel free to reach out to myself and Toy. We're always here to help. And hopefully we'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.